Hi, everyone. It's Chris Adkins and Trystan King again, and you're watching Market Minute with Chris and Trystan. And in today's episode, we are talking about what are we doing to develop and nurture a positive mindset. So, Trystan, first
How's it
point that
going?
we want to talk about, buddy, is developing a foolproof daily morning routine. What are you doing in the morning to start your day off right?
Definitely. So I think that it's extremely, extremely important, kind of like what you're saying, to develop a routine. And the first way to do that is waking up at the exact same time every single day. So for me, that's 7:30 in the morning. I need a cup of coffee before I start my day. So I definitely go straight to the coffee machine. And then I love to exercise. And I like to exercise in the morning because it kind of gets my mind right. You're starting off on the right foot, and it definitely helps you kind of throughout the day. So
Yeah.
how about what's your morning routine like?
I think we're very similar in that regard because you and I are kind of gym rats by nature, and I think like we've already agreed off screen here that the gym and our routine around the gym is something that we miss quite a bit. But like our settings change a little bit here, and it took me a little while to kind of get back into it and adapt. But same as you, I get up in the morning the exact same time every morning, and I start my day off with a cup of coffee, and then I get geared up here to do a quick exercise. And usually it's about half an hour. But recently I've changed a little bit here. Instead of listening to music, which like listening to music while exercise is super enjoyable, I found a lot of value in changing what I'm listening to into more of an audiobook instead. Right. And specifically like mentors or like experts in my field or like in the field of real estate or mortgage brokering. And I actually listened to it at 2 times the speed as well. And although it does kind of sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks a little bit, it is funny how much your brain can process and retain. And
Really?
by doing it 2 times as fast, and you could do that for an hour every day, you can listen to like almost 500 hours, right?
No, that's really good. I think kind of before COVID, at least, I would try to I would listen to podcasts as much as possible while I was in the car because I think that knowledge is super important. So it's a really good idea getting that in while you're getting your workout in.
It's called a learn and burn, buddy. Learn and burn,
That's
right?
good.
But something else here, and like we talked about it from our last episode here, that we're constantly evolving. We're continuing to try and develop better habits and be consistent with that. But one of the two other habits that I've incorporated is guided visualizations and daily affirmations. And a guided visualization is a lot like a meditation. You do it first person, you do it present tense as well. So it's always I. And you're always like when I visualize my own goals that I have for myself, I'm doing it in present tense as if I've already achieved those goals, which is super encouraging and gets me pumped and motivated for my day. And then daily affirmations are things that I used to do, first thing in the morning, like after exercising, and I jump in the shower. Um, I would do gratitude practice, have an attitude of gratitude. But for me, those daily affirmations are for gratitude, happiness, and mindset, right? So, and usually what I do, and I'll get to it a little bit later on, but usually what I do is I do kind of a grounding effect to it as well. I kind of ground the feeling of success with a power move. Like I might express like yes and do kind of a fist pump after, but it's like the Pavlovian dog where you've got that trigger of a bell and then the food and the bell and the food. If you ring the bell, the dog starts to drool even if you don't have the food because it's a conditioned response, right? And that's what I'm trying to achieve when I do daily affirmations as well.
Yeah, no, those are really good ideas.
Yeah, I would like certainly would recommend it, and it has helped me, especially when we're in isolation and our kind of routine has changed quite a bit. I didn't feel like I needed these nearly as much as I do now, because if I entered the workspace, I'd walk into the office. That was almost my trigger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is right now more than anything is a lot of these things that we would do, at least for me and you, on a regular basis, it was just second nature. But I think that making sure that you hit each and every one of these that we're going to talk about today is extremely important now. So.
Yeah, I think that's where, like, for the first couple of weeks, almost there was a disconnect for me. There was a disconnect between what my daily routine was and what was important for me to continue to develop and nurture.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So we have a couple more talking points here, like off line. You and I were talking about social interaction. You brought that up here, and it kind of threw me for a loop at first until you expanded on that. Do you want to expand on that now?
Yeah, definitely. So I think for me, and I think social interaction is huge. Just understanding that there still is an outside world. I mean, I still am, say, showing properties, taking the precautions that we're sort of talking about last week.
Mm-hmm.
But a family member actually so a family member came to me and she was really struggling with sort of her day to day. And I mean, one difference that I could see between us, at least, was that she wasn't getting very much social interaction. And when I was kind of talking to her about it and, just almost, I mean, whether that's you go on a walk and kind of you're socially distant, or, you FaceTime your family or me or whoever it is, I think that goes a very, very long way. I know for our team, we do we do Zooms with the entire brokerage, Zooms between our team. We're on Zoom right now. I mean, it just makes you feel a lot more normal, right? So that definitely helps me. And it's definitely a big part in how I've kind of had my mindset lately.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And social interaction is something that we've always kind of taken for granted. And now
100%.
that we don't have it, on our day to day, we have to kind of search for it and make sure that we include and incorporate that daily in order to, like, as you said, it's good for good mental health as well.
Yeah. You don't
Those,
realize
those
how
social
important it is.
features.
What's
What's that
that?
for?
I was just going to say, you don't realize how important it is till you don't have it.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
exactly it, right? But these are good reminders for ourselves, and like I know we feed off of each other for the content of these videos. But when you brought that up here, that was a good reminder here for me to continue to reach out to people, and just us hearing each other's voice and seeing each other's face on the Zoom call is super important. It does. I feel more of a connection just by doing
Definitely.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot different talking on the phone. I mean, I guess a little bit, I need to see a face, to be honest,
Yeah.
for it to feel more normal to me. So
Agreed. Our next talking point is calendar and journaling. Now, why don't you talk to me about what you're doing with respect to your calendar and journaling?
yeah, for sure. So my calendar is like my Bible. When I got into the business, a good mentor, or my mentor, actually still my mentor, basically my team leader, Adam, he told me to plan my month, plan my week, and plan my day. And I live by that. I have things that I do every single month at the exact same time. And then basically when I'm planning, say, my weeks, it's just depending on sort of where my business is at. And then my day is just obviously depending on exactly what I have to do that day. So it hasn't really changed too much for me. I mean, I am showing a lot less property. So I'm kind of filling those areas and other things that we kind of talked about, say education and that kind of stuff. But I think it's extremely, extremely important to fill out your calendar, to have all your tasks in there. I write absolutely everything that I do, whether that's like, have lunch or even small things, clean the house, whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, you'll look at your calendar as you went through it and you'll realize that you were productive that day. So you can go to bed knowing that you just didn't waste a day. And that kind of goes into journaling. So when I wake up, not only do I have my calendar, but I write down sort of the main points that I really, really want to accomplish that day. I visualize myself completing each task. And at the very end of the day, I make sure I look at that planner. And once I've completed everything, it's like a reward, you completed your day, and whether you want to watch a movie or whatever it is at the end of the night, you don't feel guilty about it. So I know that you being a mortgage broker, you're probably very like me kind of with your calendar because we live by them. But how's that been for you?
Very similar, I find it's really important for me in order for me to be committed and accountable to what decisions and habits I'm trying to nurture and improve upon. I put everything in the calendar, even if it's starting to morph into more of my daily routine and things that are just second nature. I still put them in my calendar every single day.
Yeah.
Like the daily affirmations, I've got them time blocked for it. I've got my guided visualizations; those are time blocked. My exercise, that's time blocked. And we talked about, we're going to talk next about proper eating habits. I even have specific times that I'm eating, so that helps and translates and transcends into a more consistent behavior for me in the times that I'm not doing something that I've got calendared. Like I can time block for other things and other events. and other areas that I want to continue to improve.
Yeah, 100%. I just want to add something real quick, but for those who say can't relate to our business or anything like that, and for those who say aren't working, I still do think it's very, very important for say you to use a calendar or journal. You might not be doing say work tasks, but I mean you can say your hobbies, whether that's say gardening or whatever it is. If you put those in there, the affirmations that like you were saying, you can definitely fill out a full day of doing something. And I think that something else that I also wanted to say is just sort of depending on where you're working from in like say in your home, try to stay off the couch, because it's just fear lives on the couch. It's definitely going to affect your productivity. So I make sure that when there's time blocks in there, say that I'm working, that I am say sitting at my desk and doing that, and it definitely will help.
I couldn't agree with you more. Proper eating habits, like this is kind of goes hand in hand with education and our exercising. Like when we talk about our exercising, that for me transcends into different areas of my day and week, month, etc. Like proper eating habits are just kind of formed out of other routines and other habits that I have already developed and conditioned myself for.
Yeah.
We say the same thing for you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, proper eating habits for me have always been important, but way back when I didn't eat proper, I definitely remember not feeling as good about my day. So I think it's important, whatever sort of diet or whatever times you eat at, as long as you're sort of consistent. And I think that, what's really, really important is micronutrients. Not so much, I mean, whether you count your calories or whatever it is, but just getting the proper micronutrients, that's what's going to make you feel better. Vegetables and that kind of stuff. So in your work productivity is going to show. I know that when I would eat pizza or whatever it is, I mean, everyone sort of has their bad days, but you definitely don't feel super encouraged to have a productive day. I don't know about you, but that's definitely me.
Well, like it's input and output. What you're putting in is what you're going to get out, and I don't disagree. And certainly, I'm not so consistent that I'm so rigid when it comes to my eating habits. I do treat myself from time to time,
Yeah.
but I can physiologically, I notice a big difference when I'm eating pizza and like my motivation to do much more beyond sitting on the couch and watching Netflix isn't there. It just really isn't there. So if I continue to feed myself with proper nutrients and proper nutrition, like if I feel good, I do good.
Yeah, it's a trap when that happens because it's hard to snap out of it. So it's
yeah, I totally agree. I think these are all really good talking points here. I think next we're just going to summarize and talk about our next episode here. So to kind of reiterate what we talked about, like these aren't things that are going to work for everybody either. Like we have to understand that you might just get totally jazzed off of listening to music instead, and that's your motivation behind working out here. Like all the power to you. But for me, there's a continued education aspect to my job as there is for yours. So this is advice for any working professional, especially in the real estate world or anybody who wants to advance in their own field, listening to audiobooks instead of music. And I do that at 2 times the speed. Alvin and Chipmunks is my new, it's my new soundtrack.
Yeah.
I retain quite a bit just doing that. And it's another kind of key in my own motivation from like on my daily habits as well. And then we talked about visualizing our success for even just on the daily here. If you went from month to week to day, visualizing your success and developing the habits around it here. Part of it for me is daily visualizations here and doing it every single day and being able to visualize myself in first person in present tense that I've already achieved the goals I set myself out to be. And the feeling that conjures up is quite intense.
Yeah, no, I think what I do, because I'm definitely taking notes, I'm learning from you here. But for me, any big goals that I have, I visualize myself achieving them, and it's on a much larger scale. And say my first year in real estate, I visualized, say, winning Rookie of the Year, and I did, and I was just proud. But I think that bringing that down to even more short term is definitely extremely important, especially kind of with what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you know what? It's reinforcement, reinforcement, reinforcement. And one part of that is affirming your success. Like when I do daily affirmations and I anchor it with a positive emotion of success, because if, you know, when I achieve the goals that I am visualizing every day, I will have a yes and a fist pump. I'm going to be super pumped when that happens. But to affirm the success, it feeds into what I've done before, just kind of second nature. And that's the attitude of gratitude. And I do feed into that gratitude practice every day by calendar, putting this in my diary, like diarizing this every single day and be consistent and accountable to
Yeah, that's really good.
it. Yeah. Well, next episode, we're going to talk about how to best prepare yourself to buy a property and get prepared in order to buy a property and pounce on any opportunity that myself or Trystan will put in front of you guys.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I think that it's really, really important. I guess right now you are still seeing people buy and sell if they need to, sort of thing. But I think right now what's important is definitely to prepare yourself for what's going to happen after this, because this will end. You know, it's definitely going to come to an end,
Mhm.
and it would be good to be prepared at least for right after. So I'm excited for that one.
You too. Get your ducks in a row, guys. We'll
Yeah,
talk next week.
sounds good. See ya.
See you, brother.